Hi, he's Ron.
He's Raj.
We're the Scanlon Boys. On this one, we're really going to talk about the Taiga Trail and where we were. We're about the 52nd parallel up St. James Bay. It happens to be about where Hudson Bay come together. There's a peninsula out there. I got a good picture of Ron. Anyway, that's where we were at, and we went east from there.
Almost to Labrador.
Yep.
Yeah, we were within probably 50 miles of the border of Labrador. I mean, the road stopped, but
Yep.
Labrador wasn't very far away.
Yep. And the area there is, the trees are shrunk, so they're shorter. When we were in our tents, the sun was down, but it stayed dusk for a long time.
Yeah,
it was just a different experience than I've had before.
So we spent the night out in the bush. We had to camp. There's no one there, and we couldn't make it to the end of the road and back to the outfitter in a day. And so we go to camp, and it's like we had some food with us, and it's like, well, everyone knows you're in bear country. You need to put the food, put a rope on it and hoist it up a tree. Well, it's like the trees they're 30 feet tall, but they're 2 inches in diameter. You can't.
They ain't 30 feet tall.
Yeah,
they ain't probably 20 feet tall.
But they're stunted. It was that far north, and so we camped away from our bikes and where the food was. We really felt like we had gone somewhere different when one of the towns we stayed in was Chisisibi. And even before we got there, it's like everyone is speaking French for several days, so it took a long time to get there because it was so far. But we get to Chisisibi, and that's a Cree village, and so the stop signs, instead of it being in French, which is arrête, it's a series of symbols that don't look like the English language at all. So you really feel like you get away.
Stop sign was the same though.
Yeah.
It just didn't happen to have the same type of rating on it.
So we get up in the morning, and I asked the gal that was at the reservations desk, and I said, I got to ask you a touristy question. She was like, you have polar bears in town, and she said, well, occasionally we do. And she said, if there's a polar bear around, that they chase it, they harass it, and make it go back out into the bay, and there's an island offshore. I don't know how far it is, 10 or 20 miles offshore, where the polar bears winter or spend the summer when the ice melts, and so it really felt like we had gotten away. But that road, when you get to the end of the road, you're 458 miles from the nearest town, and this road it kind of has
how far from a repair shop?
Well, it's 850 miles from a repair shop. So if like here in Grand Haven,
okay,
Michigan,
so you break your collarbone out in the middle of nowhere.
It's a big deal.
What's it take to get an X-ray?
Yeah, and even to have your motorcycle brake, a brake lever or something. There's no replacement parts, and to have someone haul it to the nearest dealer is probably going to be probably $3,000. And if you got hurt, it could a small injury could be
a big deal.
Yeah, really big deal. So it adds to the stress on the planning side, and then and this road was terrible. As far
what
as
they do on the road, there's lithium mines there, and so this road is gravel for a good part of it. But at this time it was going to rain. They pulled all the gravel off the sides, put it in the middle. Now this has got permafrost and such, so it's just hard enough for everything to go over. Okay, so they brought all the gravel in. They did it in 3 or 4 spots for 20 miles, and well, I hit the ground, but so did somebody else.
It was difficult,
but
yeah,
one of the harder things that I've done, and.
But when we were at the end of we talked to the guy there's only one guy that runs a gas pump at the outfitter, and I don't know what his real name is. His nickname is Bear. And
he's not real tall, but he'd probably kick your butt.
Yeah. So we asked. No, he said, he's like, when are you guys headed back? It's like, no, we're going to go to the end of the road. And he's like, really?
Nobody does that.
It's like, well, is that uncommon? How many bikes do you have come through? It's like, no motorcycle has gassed up here in over a year. And the ones that come here, almost all of them They come
Okay.
here to spend the night, and then they go back, and they don't finish the road. They don't do the other half. And he's like, okay. It's like, well, we'll see you in 2 days. It's like, he's like, well, I hope so.
He said maybe.
Yeah, and so, but where we were on that road, it's like no one had been there on a motorcycle in a long, long time. You know, at least well over a year, and you're a long way. You're 450 miles from the nearest town, and so you know,
I got
there's
a picture of you. I'm standing out in the water.
in Hudson Bay,
Yep.
yeah, saltwater.
And so Hudson Bay on one side, St. James Bay on the other. I'm standing in none of it, and you're walking into one nation.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, and it was like that picture is really cool because it was foggy day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's a color picture. You won't know it, but
Yeah.
anyway. He's Ron.
He's Raj, living life with less regrets.